How I scaled my real estate wholesaling empire from $0 broke all the way to $1 million using one concept and one growth hack, which I'm going to show you today. What's up, guys? Zach Ginn here, and in today's video, I really want to show you the most important growth hack reason that I've used in my real estate wholesaling business to honestly, I've actually cracked the numbers for you today. How I was able to up my efficiency in my real estate wholesaling business by around 103% more profits, more efficient in my business, and how I was able to actually reduce my working hours by about 90% with over 103% efficiency and profits while scaling my real estate wholesaling operation. So if you want to go from $0 to $1 million, this is going to be my $5,000 like simple guide. Honestly, I think a lot of people know a little about this, but at the end of the day, if you can really understand this growth hack and this principle of the two things you have to control and manage in a real estate wholesaling operation, you can easily make over $100,000 per month. This is going to be a more or less a system scaling guide, and a little more about it's that too, and then a little bit more about the philosophy of this. So you can actually go out here and make a bunch of money in your real estate wholesaling business. So who am I? My name is Zach Ginn. I'm a 22-year-old real estate wholesaler, a real estate investor. I do a lot of things. And honestly, the point of this channel here is to teach you how to become a complete real estate investor, wholesaler, entrepreneur, anything in general. But today specifically, we're going to teach about how I'm able to scale my real estate wholesaling operation where I don't work too much, I make a lot of money, and we're as efficient as possible. So make sure you do me a favor, smash that like button and subscribe, and let's break it down. So the first thing you got to understand when it comes to scaling up a business of any kind, it's really the two resources, which is time and money. If you know how to effectively manage these two things, you're going to be successful in real estate wholesaling. At the end of the day, when it comes to going from $0 to $100,000, which in my opinion is always the hardest thing to do, I say $100,000 to $1 million is a cakewalk, and I'm going to show you the growth hack I use for that. There's really no growth hack more or less from $0 to $100,000. You have time or money. Which one are you willing to do? And it's really, really easy for a lot of beginners because sometimes you're working a full-time job, you don't have a lot of time, but you have some money, and then you can pour some money in the business and really help it up with a nice hustle. Again, freewholesaling.com. I break down the entire process out here. Now, if you have no time and no money, it's going to be a little harder. You're going to have to do very effective resources, a lot of drawing for dollars, a lot of that type of stuff, a lot of reverse drawing for dollars at freewholesaling.com. But most people, starting out, they have no money, but they have plenty of time. And remember, they're the only two resources you really need in real estate wholesaling. And if you don't have much money, you can really put your time in it and do very well. And so really scaling up to $100,000, it's really putting that sweat equity in these deals. That's really going to help you out and become very, very successful. Now, when I was making about $100,000, I was really teetering between these two factors. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to effectively scale it up by working? I was doing everything by myself like usual. But at the end of the day, I saw these two things and what I was going to do. So I actually increased my money. So I had time and money, right? So I actually increased money. And what I did when I was increasing the money that I was putting in the business, the more I was putting on ad spend, human capital, employees, but mostly for marketing, I was able to I was still working the same amount. I was putting the same amount of time in the business, working like 50, 60 hours a week. And really what it is, I started pouring more money into the marketing, and that made me more money because I was pouring money in the marketing, hence made more money, going from 100K, 250,000. And then at the end of the day, once you hit like $250,000 a year, honestly, like if you're really good at getting your margins, really good at acquisitions, you could probably make $250,000, like 300,000, maybe 350 if you're really lucky. But honestly, you have to start employing that time concept when it comes to scaling. You can only do something for so long to a point. So unless you're like Floyd Mayweather, where you can do fights and make $100 million at a time, an athlete to a point, it's going to be very hard when you're running a whole business. Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, the biggest companies out here. Obviously, Elon Musk is not making the cars himself. He has to get people to do it for them because he has time as a valuable resource. And even at my height, the most I was ever working was probably when I was going from 250,000 to $1 million, because I really I was putting like 50, 60, 70, I was doing 100-hour weeks sometimes because I was going on appointments, doing all the cold calling. I couldn't handle it. It was getting insane where the time was so constrained. It was not good in my personal life. So what did I do? I started pouring money into things that was going to give me more time. What do I mean by this? So if I was spending, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 hours a week, whatever you're doing. So I was putting about 25 hours a week in my cold calling. I sucked it up. I thought I could do everything by myself, and honestly, I couldn't. And what I basically did was I hired a virtual assistant from the Philippines to cold call for me. And really what I did was I got 3 cold callers doing my job. So it went from 25 hours a week of cold calling all the way up to 75 hours a week of cold calling. And guess what happened? They were not as good as me. They were probably about 60% as effective and efficient as me, which means they were getting less amount of deals per call. But when you triple the amount of volume out there, even if it's 60% less than me, at the end of the day, it makes more money. And that's really the truth about how scaling works. These people are not going to be as good as you, but they have extra time. So obviously you're not going to make more money per deal, but you're going to have more time, which has more volume. And when you really look at a real estate wholesaling business, it comes back to how many deals you do and how much profit per deal. It's really a weird sliding scale I figured out in real estate wholesaling where, hey, I'm making like $20,000 per deal and then I'm doing like 20 deals a year, right? Guess what? If you do 40 deals a year at 20,000 each, you're doubling your output. The cool part is, let's say you're doing 10 deals at 10,000 each, that's 100 grand. Guess what? If you go from $20,000 per deal and then you go from 10 deals to 20, you could literally more than double, quadruple, triple your income by teetering out there. So I was doing more volume. The margins went down a little, but it actually ended up, if you multiply it, even more. And that's really what helped me out. I started having VAs. I started skip tracing where I didn't have to manually skip trace anymore. And I started doing more deals. The margins went down a little, but I was still doing a lot of deals. Really, I was still doing most of the acquisitions myself. But really, it was interesting because you do more deals. Actually, your margins go down the more deals you do. Hence, because if I was just doing my own local market, I was doing more virtual, things changed a lot. And then I started just making more money in my business. So guess what happens? I'm scaling with Rick, right? Like we're scaling more and more and more. And then what do? Overall, I look at it. Human capital is going to be the way you're going to scale when it comes to $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 to $1 million plus. Really, where we're at, we're doing way more than $1 million per year now. But that's because we're implementing human capital in the business. And people are human capital. I don't know if that's a weird term. That's when you look at a business, your most important asset is the people you have hired in the business. So these people are the key because you can go from doing where it's a little insane for me, but like if I was cold calling all day, every day, 25 hours a week, I can have people doing 250 hours a week of cold calling. And just with the amount of more leads coming in, I knew so much better if I was just cold calling myself. And then you have to hire people from the lowest level tasks to the largest tasks out here. And so it gives you more time. It frees up your time to do more important things like acquisitions. And then when acquisitions was too much, I hired someone to do the acquisitions for you. So really the hack is you can implement your money that you're making in the business. So you're making a ton of money in the business. You start pouring money into people, which is going to give you extra time. And at the end of the day, those people, they work for you and you make more money. So let me sort of show you some of the stats I can really do right now, some numbers to show you this concept. It's really insane the way I think about it when I write it down, but it's the truth of the business. So let's say, these employees, and let me be very generous. Most of your employees, acquisitions managers, dispositions people, they're at best, they're going to be 70% of you. And what I mean by this, so if you have somebody out here that usually makes $100,000 per year if they do everything by themselves, if you hire someone to do that for you, they're probably going to make $70,000. They're not the owner of the business. They're probably not going to work as hard. They don't have the drive, and it's more of a job per se. And they're just not going to be as good as you, right? Like, not have the passion, the drive, or the experience. So they're going to do 70% of your output, which honestly is not that bad. So I have the numbers right here. So if I look at acquisitions managers, and I'm just going to do acquisitions managers to a point with cold callers and dispositions people. So at most, I would say for an acquisitions manager in my heyday, when I was working like crazy, I was cold calling, going on appointments, doing dispo. At most, if I did 7 days a week, like this is having appointments all the time, I did 3 appointments a day for 7 days, about 21 appointments a week, that's a lot. That's 4 or 5 appointments maybe on the weekdays, right? That's about 21 appointments. I could probably close, if I condition them, everything, about 75% of those deals. These are true numbers. So if I could close around 75% of these deals, and my average margin was $50,000, which it's pretty close to where we're at now. And if I could close 50%, if I could close 75% of those at 50K on those 21 appointments, I could probably make $787,500. That's very good, right? That's me working 120 hours a week, 100 hour, like nonstop, go, 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 go. Now, if I had 4 acquisitions people, which is pretty good, right? And let's say they do 21 hours, right? I mean, 21 appointments a week. That means I have 84 appointments a week going on right now. And let's say they close, I'm going to say this sweetly, 55% of their appointments, right? That's about 70% less than 75 if you really do the numbers right. If they can only close 55% of those deals. Really, if you do the numbers, that's about 46 deals, I would say. And if we pay them about 15, like if I pay out about 42% of that, so if the deals are still 50 grand and I have to pay commissions, extra marketing fees, all this stuff, I would say the net at the end of the day for me is going to be 35 grand for the deal because I got to pay out commissions, all the stuff. You would net $1.6 million. And what is that? And then you're paying your people very generously, like they're very happy to work. That means you're almost making an extra $1 million per year by having employees. And that's after paying, not like I love it when entrepreneurs and these type of like wholesaling coaches, guys, they like saying what the gross is. Like maybe it's 1.92 million, but if you're doing net after paying everybody, it's about 1.6. So really it's $1 million extra by working less. So I do the math here. It's about 103% more efficient. You're making 103% more money and you're working like about a tenth of what you do there. So if you're going from 100 hours a week, honestly, to 10 hours a week, like if you're really checking on everyone, checking how the deals are, right? You're making like high level decisions. You're working 10 hours a week. So you're 103% more efficient, about 90% less time working, and you're making more money. This is the biggest growth hack you got to understand. You want to think that you can do everything yourself, but you can't. And that's the problem because the law of large numbers just works out of your favor, the more employees you have. And I'm not telling you to get like this entire staff, have all this crazy overhead, but you just go slowly. Like you hire someone, hire another person, just go, go, go. And if you're starting out, make that first 100K and then start hiring people, and it gets a lot easier. So the first hire should be your cold callers, people doing your marketing, next person's your dispositions, and then your acquisitions. And if you really want to get out of the business, get a COO to really just run the entire operations, which should be a really good salesperson on there if they're good at management. But it's an extra $1 million. They're doing a lot more appointments, right? But it's really cool because you pay them very well and you make so much more money. And I'm being very generous on the pay. I'm always generous on my pay for my employees, and it works out really, really well. So my growth hack here is just implementing people into the business to start working for you very, very slowly. I'm not saying to have this entire sales staff, like I said before, but if you just start hiring one person at a time, it works really well. And the reason why it works so well, this quote unquote growth hack, is because you're treating your wholesaling operations like real businesses work. You look at any top company, they do it all. Like you look at a movie, right? Do you think the person's doing all the computer graphic animation? They do like all that? No, there's hundreds, if not thousands of people working on doing all this stuff. The costume does it, like they do it, like they don't do it all themselves, and it's more professional and they make more money. It looks better, right? You have to look at it like that, like a grocery store. Like you got multiple people doing everything everywhere. And if you treat this wholesaling business like a real business, has employees. If you ever watch The Office, right? Like they got multiple employees. Do you think they can do it all themselves? No. And I know this is a TV show, but to get an analogy to a point. So really, guys, you have to look at it like that. You have to have people out here. This is like the army going into battle, right? You can't have an army of one. An army of 10,000 is going to overtake 5 really good people, right? And that's the way you got to be looking at it. It's better have an army of large numbers than just a few people. But slowly it takes one person at a time and adding them in the business, and you'll do well. So guys, that is my ultimate growth hack to go from 0 to $1 million per year in real estate wholesaling. Obviously, you can add more and more people on there, but you got to do it slowly but surely. If you try to hire 15 people off the bat, you're going to fail. You got to have to know how to do each one, how to train each person. I only started hiring a cold calling person when I became really good at cold calling. Dispositions, when I got really good at my processes and how to teach it. And acquisitions, I actually do this approach where my acquisitions people actually have to meet me. They have to watch me close 4 deals. Then they actually have to go and close 4 deals with me. And then they actually have to close 4 deals by themselves before they become an acquisitions person. It's a lot of training and vetting. A lot of stuff people don't tell you. But guys, if you want to know my full training systems, actually how to scale the operations, the meetings, stuff like that, go to freewholesaling.com. I actually break down the entire scaling system. Who to hire, what to hire, how much to hire. It's all at freewholesaling.com. I really recommend you go check it out. And these are my ultimate growth hack to really scale a real estate wholesaling operation that you usually have to pay tens of thousands of dollars for, that I'm going to show you absolutely for free because I do this business for real and I don't want to charge you for it. So guys, do me a big favor, smash the like button and subscribe. Go to freewholesaling.com and we'll see you soon. Have a blessed one.